What's going on, my friends? For today's watch review, we're taking a look at this watch, which is from a brand that I'm not sure how to pronounce. I've heard people call it Sugess. I'm going to call it Sugess just because I think that sounds fancier. But this watch is called the Top Chronometer. I don't believe it's COSC certified, but that's just what they call it on their website, which is where I purchased mine directly off of the Sugess website. I'm sure my pronunciation of the brand is going to piss a lot of you guys off, so do your worst in the comment section. Now, with that being said, let's do a quick wristwatch check. I'm rocking my Seiko Captain Willard, an absolutely beautiful and very fun watch. Can't wait to cover this one in a different episode, but for now, let's get back to the Top Chronometer and start off with my favorite talking point, which is price. On the website, or the Sugess website, you can purchase it for around $370. I can't remember if there were any coupon codes. I think I spent like just under $370, but just ballpark, that's how much you should expect to pay for this one. And now let's go ahead and take a look at those dimensions, which will be on the screen for you. Feel free to pause at any time to see how those numbers work for you. I think these dimensions are absolutely beautiful, especially considering that we've got an automatic chronograph here. I am so impressed with these numbers. This watch wears beautifully well on my 7.5 to 7.75 inch wrist, and I think it's going to fit small and large wristed people equally. And now just going over some general features or info on the watch. So this is going to be a fully stainless steel case. At the very top, we've got a sapphire crystal, and then you also have lume applied on the indices and the hands. On the right hand side, we've got screwed pushers for the chronograph, and then a screw down crown there, and then a screw down case back as well. All of this is going to give you a certain level of water resistance. I can't remember off the top of my head what that is, but of course I'll have that on the screen for you. And then what is powering this watch is kind of funny. So on the Sugess website, they call it a genuine Dandong ETA 7750. So I have no idea what the hell that means. Are they saying that it's a genuine fake 7750, or is Dandong I don't know, an affiliate brand with ETA? I don't know. That's just what they're saying is powering this movement. It's an automatic chronograph. That's all I know. I know for me personally, at this price range and this type of homage, I don't really care about the movement. I'm honestly just a happy camper to get an automatic chronograph at this price range. Now let's go ahead and take a look at that Lumeshot. I think the lume here is beautiful. Does it last the whole night? Not really, but it functions for the purposes that I need it for. And I do like the color tone here. I think it's beautiful, and it does fit the overall style of the watch. I've got no complaints here. And I really want to stop bringing price into this, but for the price, I'm really not complaining at all. Now moving on to the dial. This dial is beautiful, and obviously it's no secret, right? This is probably a direct copy off of a Rolex Daytona, but to that end, I mean, Rolex knocked it out of the park with their design, so of course it's going to be equally as beautiful on a copy. What I really like on the dial is the execution of these subdials. So usually chronograph subdials are very boring, but in this case you've got this silver tone, like sunburst border around each of the subdials, and it gives you such a beautiful contrast compared to the black dial color. As far as homages go, nothing about this dial looks cheap. Everything about it looks of high quality, and hopefully I can capture that in the footage that I'm showing you. It just glistens in the light beautifully, and I'm very impressed, honestly. And now let's move outside of the dial and take a look at that bezel. Bezel is also phenomenally executed here. This is what caught my attention. I can't remember exactly where I was introduced to this brand. It might have been like a Facebook ad, which is just proof that those work. But either way, it was this watch specifically. And if you follow the channel, you know that these steel tone or silver tone bezels is like, that is my style, right? If I see a silver tone bezel or a steel bezel insert, like, it's a done deal. You know, I don't even care about the quality. I just like the way that it looks. And in this case, this is what sold me. And I gotta tell you, in person, it is beautiful. You've got your typical tachymeter markings around it. You know, I'm never gonna use it, but it's cool to have just because of, you know, what it represents and all that stuff. But it is there, and I very much like it. Now moving on to the right-hand side, let's take a look at those pushers. So these are screw-down pushers. Let's go ahead and take off my gloves for this. Screw-down pushers here, just like with your Daytona, and they function great. So after you screw them out, then you can operate them. So this one is your start and stop pusher. And then after you stop it, you can reset it and, you know, standard chronograph operation here. Now, if I had to compare the operation of these pushers to, let's say, a Tudor chronograph, I can't say Rolex chronograph because I've never handled one, but with my Tudor chronograph, you know, this one of course is not as good. The threading doesn't feel as tight, but like that's me comparing it to a watch that is literally almost 10 times its price. If I am not gonna compare it to anything else and just, you know, as a standalone watch, I think it's fine. There's really nothing wrong with it. It operates as it should and it functions great. So, you know, you're always gonna find somebody that's comparing it to something else, and that comparison is gonna be so nitpicky. I'm talking purely about performance and does it work, and to that end, it does. And then after the pushers, the crown, you do have a signed crown here. It's kind of cheap, right? You just have that S there. Nothing about it really is I don't know, of like a high level of luxury or whatever. It's just an S. But as far as operation goes, I think it feels good. Again, just like with the pushers, it's not as good as my Tudor chronograph, but as a regular watch, I think it works just fine. Winding up the mainspring feels good. It is a little bit squeaky. I don't know if you can hear that, but you know, again, it's not gonna affect the performance of the watch. And you do have a hacking movement here, which is something that I know a lot of people like. And then screwing it back in is also an easy affair. And before we get into the case back, let me go ahead and put on my gloves again. And you'll see me wear gloves whenever I'm handling a watch that is a fingerprint magnet, which this one is, because of the mirror polishing. So it's kind of hard to display the beauty of a watch if it's just plastered in fingerprints, which is why I wear gloves with these types of watches. But anyway, now moving on to the case back. Nothing special here. It is your typical Rolex style case back, but I like it. I think it looks clean and they did a good job here with what they had. And then now moving on to the bracelet. So as far as the links go, 10 out of 10. Quality is fantastic. You've got these beautifully executed spring bars here holding the links together. And then the clasp also is great. You know, it feels of good quality. Nothing about it feels cheap. I've purchased Rolex homages or copies before where the clasp just felt horrible. But in this case, it's a good clasp, right? I've got no complaints here. The biggest downfall about this watch, however, is the micro adjust system. So they make it kind of look like a, what's it called? A T-fit clasp, but it is not. It's like this fake looking one. It's just a pain in the ass. It's hard to explain it. I'm just letting you know, it's a pain in the ass to micro adjust this one. Not impossible, just annoying. And they definitely could have figured out a better way to do it. And I'm not a fan of how they executed this one. However, with that being said, it does not break the sale for me. Like, this is just one minor negative. And if this is the only negative on the watch, then I am okay with that. And here's just some more shots of the clasp. Yeah, overall, I think this is a great clasp. I'm a happy camper with it. One thing I don't like is the logo right there. It's kind of cheap looking, you know, like, I don't know. It's fine, obviously, but if I had to change something, it would be that. But other than that, overall, I'm happy with it. Now going over the fit and finish. So I think the finishing here is beautiful. I am usually not a fan of mirror polished watches. And, you know, if I could change something about this watch, it would be to have a brush finish throughout the entirety of it. But as a mirror polished watch, it's very nice. No complaints here. It looks really good. Hopefully the camera is capturing that quality. And you can see on the side there too, you've got a mirror polish there. And all in all, you know, it seems like with these homage watches, when you look at the pictures, like it's too good to be true. But in this case, like what you see on the images is exactly what you're getting in hand. It's just a solid watch with exceptional finishing here. And usually now is the time where I'll transition over to my overall thoughts. But before we do that, I want to show you guys what it looks like inside this watch. Curiosity got the better of me. You know, this watch really felt like it was too good to be true. So I was like, there's something they're not showing me. There's got to be some shitty movement inside here, which is how they're keeping the price down. And so I opened up the case back. I'll be showing you some B-roll here to, you know, show you what it looks like. But I opened it up and I was just what's the word? Dumbfounded, taken aback, surprised. Like, it was beautiful in there. Honestly, what I was expecting was some cheap plastic movement holder, which there's nothing wrong with that, right? But when you get into watches, that's not ideal. At least for me, it's not ideal. So in this case, that's what I was expecting. And when I opened it up, it was a completely different story. You know, what I saw was the same quality of movement that I'm used to from $1,000 to $2,000+ watches that I owned or that I currently own. And the fact that I am experiencing this type of quality at well under $500 is truly amazing and almost scary. When I say scary, I mean not scary for me. I'm the customer. I enjoy good deals like this, but perhaps scary for the Japanese and Swiss market, because China is getting dangerously good at making very good value watches. And I say this not as a fan of Chinese products, you know, like I'm not against them, but if you give me the choice of buying American made, like I'm gonna pick American made if the quality is good. But in this case, there's no reason for me not to opt for a Chinese made watch, because so far I have yet to be disappointed. The finishing, the quality, the price, it's so good that it would be dumb for me not to. And I'm sure a lot of you are going to disagree with me, right? Like, I'm not an expert in this. I'm very simple. I'm a simple man. All I do is I see something, and how I perceive it is how I interpret it. So in this case, I'm seeing this watch, and to me, I perceive it to be of excellent quality. If there's something that you know about this watch that I don't know, you are more than welcome to educate me in the comments section. But all I can tell you from my personal experience is that this is phenomenal. Like I said, scary phenomenal, shockingly phenomenal, outstanding quality, and I've got no reason not to recommend this one. And another thing I want to bring up again is the dimensions. So this watch, the case thickness, is around 12 millimeters. And for those of you experienced in watch collecting and dealing with chronographs, you should know just how impressive that is. Usually chronographs, you know, like Valjoux 7750s and those types, like you're getting at a minimum 15 millimeters of case thickness, and every millimeter smaller than that, it just gets more and more expensive, like exponentially more expensive. So I don't know how the hell they are able to fit a 12 millimeter or a chronograph movement in a 12 millimeter case. Like, that is just so impressive. And I'm honestly very just flabbergasted at how they're able to do that at this price range. Are they doing something criminal? I don't know. I'm not going to get into that, but I'm always down to talk about conspiracy theories. But before I get myself into trouble, I'm going to end this review here. It's overall a very positive review. I have no complaints here. I'm very happy with this one. And that's all I got to say for now. So if you made it this far, thanks so much for, tuning in and watching my episodes or my videos. And make sure to subscribe and like if you can. And I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Bye.